Am I the asshole? AITA for skipping my brother's wedding because his fiancée excluded my wife from the guest list. My brother James is getting married next month, and what should have been a joyous family event has turned into a nightmare. The issue? His fiancée, Emily, didn't invite my wife, Lisa, to the wedding. Emily and Lisa have never been close, but I wouldn't call them enemies either. However, Emily has always seemed a bit cold toward Lisa. The tipping point was last year during a family vacation. Lisa, who's naturally outgoing and bubbly, struck up conversations with everyone, including strangers at the resort. Emily, who's quieter and more reserved, seemed annoyed by this. After the trip, she told James that Lisa was attention-seeking and accused her of making the vacation all about herself. I didn't think much of it at the time, chalking it up to personality differences. Fast forward to now, and Emily has made it clear she doesn't want Lisa at her wedding. When I confronted James about it, he admitted it was Emily's decision and said he didn't want to push back because it's her day. He added that I should respect Emily's wishes and come to the wedding alone for the sake of family harmony. I was stunned. Lisa and I have been married for 5 years. She's part of this family. Excluding her feels like a slap in the face, not just to her but to me as well. When I told James I wouldn't attend without Lisa, he accused me of being dramatic and trying to punish him for something out of his control. He said I was letting Lisa's hurt feelings ruin his wedding day. Our parents are divided. My dad says I'm right to stand by my wife and that James and Emily are being unreasonable. My mom, on the other hand, thinks I should just keep the peace and attend the wedding, because it's not worth destroying your relationship with your brother over one day. Lisa has been deeply hurt by the whole ordeal. She feels disrespected and excluded and told me she would never have done something like this if the roles were reversed. She's trying to be supportive of whatever decision I make, but I can tell she'd be devastated if I went to the wedding without her. It's put a strain on our marriage because she feels like I'm not standing up for her enough. At the same time, James is my only sibling, and I've always thought we were close. I know skipping his wedding will hurt him, and it could permanently damage our relationship. Part of me wonders if I should just swallow my pride and go for his sake. But another part of me feels like this isn't just about one day, it's about standing up for what's right. I don't want to ruin my brother's wedding, but I also don't want to betray my wife or compromise my values. So AITA for refusing to go to my brother's wedding without Lisa. Am I the asshole? AITA. My husband 38M and I 38F had a conversation about a life and death situation during pregnancy. He called me selfish for wanting to live. Am I wrong? My husband and I were discussing hypothetical situations related to pregnancy and women's health. I asked him if there was a life and death situation during childbirth and he had to choose between me and our unborn child, who would he choose? Without hesitation, he said he would choose the child. Then he asked, "Wouldn't you?" I told him I would want to be chosen to live. His response was to call me selfish for saying that. This has left me feeling conflicted. Is it wrong to want to prioritize my own life in that situation? How would you feel in my position? Am I the asshole? AITA for changing all the locks on my house because my girlfriend keeps locking me out of the bedroom at night. My girlfriend 36F and I 29M moved into a house that I bought last year. We argued at first about what each room should be. 3 bedrooms, 12 baths, 2 living rooms, a garage and a back patio. I wanted an office and she wanted an office. At first I didn't want to, but I gave her the second largest room for her office and the largest became our bedroom. I took a significantly smaller room for my office. She occupied the second living room for herself. We slept together in the bedroom, as would any other couple for the first few months. We had arguments here and there, but nothing major. After about 3 months, we had a big fight about decisions involving the house. Pest control, upgrades, modifications, etc. She said since it's my house, she will not be bearing any of the financial burden that would come of disposing of the pests, and any issues that would come up with the modifications. I wasn't happy at first, but in the end understood her point of view. I took on the financial responsibility. Shortly after this, I got mad and yelled at her during an argument regarding the pest control and the modifications she wants. It was after that point she started locking the bedroom door at night, forcing me to sleep elsewhere. I tried taking the bedroom earlier than her one night, but she just sat there, keeping me from sleeping until I left the room. It took about 1 month for her to get over it, and we started sleeping together again. This was short-lived. We went on Christmas vacation together, all expenses paid for by me. First-class seats and fancy hotel. Vacation was great. Once we got back, we ran some errands together, and upon returning, she refused to help bring anything inside. She was distant and shut the door on while I was bringing things inside. I confronted her about it, to which she said, "I needed to get into the closet. I didn't care about your needs," to which I yelled at her again. She went right back to locking the bedroom door on me. I went away for work for 2 weeks, and once I returned, she still locks the door. I was fed up with it and changed all the locks in the house. While I was changing the locks, she started videotaping me and asking what I was doing. I know my yelling is a direct result of the actions she's taking, but am I the asshole for getting fed up with getting locked out of my own house? P.S. I haven't locked her out of anywhere except my office. She still has access to the rest of the house. Edit. She pays a portion of the mortgage since some people thought she wasn't paying rent or anything. TLDR. Anytime my girlfriend and I get into an argument, she retaliates by punishing me by locking me out of the bedroom at night. Am I the asshole? AITA for divorcing my cheating wife. Hi, fellow Redditors. I hope you're doing well. I'm in a very difficult situation and need your advice. I, 28M, married my wife, 27F, about 2 years ago. We first met at university, as she was my classmate. We dated for about a year before deciding to get married. Life was great, and we didn't have any major problems in our marriage. You could say we were a happy couple. About 10 months ago, we found out that my wife was pregnant. I was over the moon because we had been trying for a baby. However, my wife's reaction was very different from mine. During the early stages of her pregnancy, her mood began to shift. She became irritable and furious much of the time. I ignored her behavior and tried to support her as much as possible because I'd heard from friends that mood swings during pregnancy are common. Then, out of nowhere, she started talking about wanting an abortion. I was confused and asked her why, but she wouldn't give me a reason. I told her I wanted to become a father and hoped she would come around. Looking back, I regret not pressing her further. About a month and a half ago, I came home from work and found my wife crying in the dining room. When I asked her what was wrong, she confessed that she had slept with another man and that the child she was carrying wasn't mine. She admitted that the man was the brother of one of her friends, someone she had known for a long time. I was heartbroken and didn't know what to do. In that moment, I told her to go and rest, and we'd talk about it in the morning. She started crying even more, repeatedly asking for forgiveness. I told her not to stress herself and went to sit in the dining room for the entire night, unable to process what had just happened. The next morning, I told her to pack her things and go to her parents' house until I decided what to do. She cried and begged me not to send her away, even hugging me and pleading for forgiveness. I remained firm and called her brother to come and pick her up. He arrived within minutes, took his sister, and left without asking many questions. Afterward, I contacted a divorce lawyer to prepare the papers. We had a prenup stating that if either of us committed adultery, the other would receive all our shared assets. 2 days later, her family began calling me incessantly. When I didn't answer, they showed up at my house with my wife, demanding to know why I was acting this way. I told them to ask her. In front of them, she confessed to the affair. To make matters worse, her mother and sister admitted they knew about her infidelity, but decided to hide it from me. After hearing this, I asked them all to leave and informed them they would be receiving the divorce papers. I also told them I wanted a paternity test as soon as the baby was born. My wife begged me to reconsider, saying she had made a mistake and wanted to fix it. I didn't let her finish and told them that if they didn't leave, I would call the police. Her father later offered to buy me a house and a car if I forgave his daughter, but I refused. Since then, her entire family has been harassing me, but I've ignored them. About 10 days ago, my wife gave birth to a baby boy. I insisted on a paternity test, despite her family's attempts to stop it. Yesterday, I received the results, which confirmed that I am not the father. After learning this, I immediately sent the divorce papers to my wife. Now her family is saying she made a mistake and that I need to be the bigger person and take her back. Her mother even called me today, pleading for me to forgive her daughter and not go through with the divorce. I asked her about the baby's father, and she admitted that he ghosted my wife after hearing about the pregnancy. She claimed they have no idea where he is now. I told her this is not my mess to clean up, and asked her not to contact me again. Since then, my wife has started sending me threatening messages, saying she will harm herself and the baby if I don't take her back. I haven't replied to any of her messages. So, my brothers and sisters, I'm here to ask AITA for divorcing my cheating wife. Am I the asshole? AITA for telling my brother he can't take my kid to his new GF house. We have a 4-year-old son. Let's call him Liam. My brother is single with no kids. He volunteered to watch Liam twice a week. We offered to pay multiple times, but he refused. Everything seemed to be going great. At least that's what I thought. Yesterday, I saw some pictures on Facebook where someone tagged my brother. It looked like they were at a stranger's house with other kids, and he was cooking for them. I asked him why my kid was in a stranger's house, and he just laughed and said, "Oh, that's not a stranger. It's my girlfriend's place. She has 4 kids, so I thought I'd take Liam for a playdate again." "Again?" I asked. "Wait, you've done this before?" He goes, "Yeah. Funny story, that's actually how we met. She brought her kids to the park, I had Liam with me, and we hit it off. What's the problem?" "It's not like I left him unsupervised." I said, "So you used my kid to pick up a single mom, and now you've been taking him to her house without even telling me. Playing house, cooking for the crew as she captioned the pics. I'm so mad at you. You didn't even ask me." And he fires back with, "You trusted me enough to leave your kid in my care, and now suddenly I'm irresponsible. Fuck off." He hung up. Did I overreact? Do I owe him an apology? AITAH here. Am I the asshole? AITAH for refusing to let my stepsister participate in my late mom's memorial tradition. My 26F mom passed away when I was 12. Every year on her birthday, my dad, brother 29, and I honor her by baking her favorite lemon cake together using her handwritten recipe. It's our way of keeping her memory alive. Last year, my dad remarried. His new wife has a daughter, Jess 24F, who's been eager to bond with us. This year, Jess asked to join the cake baking tradition. I said no, explaining it's something sacred we only do with immediate family. She got upset, arguing that family isn't just blood, and that excluding her is cruel. My dad and brother think I'm being harsh and want to include her to keep the peace. But I feel like letting Jess participate erases the connection to my mom. Now the whole family is divided, and Jess called me a selfish gatekeeper of grief. AITA? Am I the asshole? AITA for refusing to attend therapy with my family so I can try to have a good relationship with my half-sister. When I-17M was 8, my dad found out he had a 10-year-old daughter. There was no cheating. My dad started dating my mom after he broke up with half-sister's mom. She moved back home and didn't tell my dad she was pregnant. My parents met and had me pretty quickly afterward. Dad's ex only told him about their kid because she was asking questions and wanted to know Dad. My dad did a DNA test, and then he met her and he spent some time with her, and then he introduced me and my mom, and then she started coming to our house. My half-sister was so jealous of me. She hated me. She hated that Dad had raised me and she was new. She treated me like shit and said over and over how she didn't want a brother. It was all weird to me too, and I hadn't exactly wanted a sibling either, but didn't get a say in it any more than she did. I'm aware I had the benefit of knowing Dad and not going through what she did. But to be honest, I was tired of dealing with her and liked when she went back home. I'd have been happy to never see her again. 3 years ago, she decided she wasn't going to come to our house anymore because she didn't want a relationship with me and my mom. My dad was upset by her choice, but carried on a relationship with her outside our home. She's 19 now, and her and Dad have talked, and he told her they couldn't have the relationship she wanted if she never wants to be around me and Mom, because he won't abandon us every holiday to be with her, and he won't exclude us from his birthdays or other milestones and achievements. She considered it for a while, and now she wants to try and make things work, but doesn't know how. My parents talked about it, and Dad asked her about family therapy, and she agreed. My parents talked to me about it, and I said no. Dad looked crushed by my answer and how quick and firm I was. He told me this could be the chance for us to have a relationship, and he was all like, "Don't you want to have a good relationship with your sister?" My mom asked how I felt, and I told them I felt like she wasn't a real sister, and I didn't love her like siblings do. I said she came into my life when I was 8 and wanted nothing to do with me. I said I never bonded with her or grew to like her. I said I wouldn't ignore her if she did start showing up, but I couldn't imagine us being close like siblings who grow up together or come from the same family. I said she was a kid and had a lot to work through. But that didn't mean I had cared about her all this time. I told Dad she's his kid too, and I don't want to stop him from having a relationship with her, and I won't treat her like shit if she's around. But I said she's basically a stranger who bullied me before. My dad said he understood, but I could see he was upset about it, and I heard my parents talking after, and he said he was so sad it had all ended up this way. But that he didn't blame me. I know I could try for him, which makes me wonder if I'm TA. I just really don't want to work on things with this girl. Does that make me an asshole? Am I the asshole? AITA for not stopping my daughter from getting an hysterectomy. I'm a mum of 4 and my oldest just turned 21. She's decided she doesn't want kids at all and hasn't dated since high school. She told me she wants to get a hysterectomy and asked for my support. Her dad is on board too. When my mom found out, she flipped out. She called us the devil's advocates and said we were blocking any chances of miracles in the family. She even claimed our prayers were answered by the devil. I told her it's my daughter's choice, and as her mom, I'm here to support her, even if there are consequences. My mum thinks I'm a disgrace for letting this happen and that I'm letting the devil mess with our family. I fully support my daughter. It's her life, and I won't take it personally if she chooses to do this. AITA? Edit, sorry if I made it seem like she already got it done. She has not. She simply told me what she wanted, not what she's planning on doing. I was a bit worried at first because she may want kids in the future. I never said she was getting one at 21. I only stated that she wanted one. Never said when she was getting one if she doesn't change her mind later on. I'm not in charge what she decides to do anymore. She's an adult now. Edit forgot to put this in the first edit. I didn't have a conversation with my mother about this situation. My daughter said it out of nowhere when we were talking about a vacation trip. Am I the asshole? AITA for ruining my stepmom's baby shower for her. My dad and stepmom are expecting a baby together, and they had their baby shower last weekend. She's been my stepmom since I was 11 and I'm 15 now. They're really excited for the baby. I'm not. I don't hate that it's happening, but I don't care. I don't have a close relationship with her, so even though it's Dad's baby, I don't see this as getting a sibling. But more like a kid will be in the house and making noise, and I'll be expected to help out. That's already been talked about. How they can't wait to see me with the baby, and how it'll be nice to have someone to help. I have a journal and I use it for therapy that I go to bi-weekly, and I use it sometimes to vent. I have some stuff in there about my feelings and lack of feelings on my dad having another kid and him having a kid with someone who isn't my mom, and how I don't really feel like I'm getting a sibling. My stepmom read some of my journal before the shower started. I had it hidden, but she snuck into my room while I was out with my grandma, and she read it. Didn't find out until Thursday. But it put her in a bad mood for the shower. During the baby shower, they were going around recording people's messages to the baby. I hid while that was happening. I went to the bathroom and I stayed there for ages. I didn't want to record a message. My stepmom got the videos Wednesday and she watched them all. Then on Thursday, she brought up the journal and the video messages in front of Dad. She started crying and saying she didn't know why I wasn't excited about the baby. She thought I'd love them already and want a sibling after being an only child this long. She said it shouldn't matter if I get a sibling from just my dad or both my parents because they're still a sibling. How she had dreamed of me being a protective big sister to her child. She said it hurt to realize I don't care about her or the baby and that I'm full indifferent. She also brought up the fact I vented about her taking down the photos of my mom from the family room. She said I should understand she wants this to be her home too, and living with the dead wife's face in a space she spends a lot of time isn't fun. Then she said me not sharing a loving message to my sibling during the shower broke her heart. She asked me why, but I was so pissed about her reading my journal that I didn't answer, and I told her she needed to stay away from my journal, and it was none of her business what I write in there. She started crying, and I told her I was telling my therapist what she did. I said sneaking into my room when everyone was busy or not in the house showed she can't ever be trusted. My dad told me I was going too far, and I told him he was taking her side over mine, and it made him a bad dad. I went to my room and texted my grandparents to ask if they could keep my journal at their house. My stepmom tried talking to me through the door, and she said I ruined the baby shower for her. I ignored her, and my grandparents came and took the journal to their house. Yesterday, I told her she took my journal from me by making it not safe to keep it here, and I hoped she was happy. Dad told me to stop speaking to his wife like that, and he said I needed to apologize for it and for ruining the baby shower for her. He said we needed to come together as a family and stop acting like this. I said we're not a family and we never will be after this, and I said I didn't care if I ruined it. I said she spoiled her own baby shower when she snooped. My dad doesn't like that I won't apologize for that most of all. He said I should be able to understand why I need to. I told him his wife's feelings don't matter to me when she doesn't give a crap about my privacy. Am I the asshole? AITAH for not telling my mom that my wife's pregnant. TLDR, I've been NC with my mom for 9 years. My siblings don't like it. My wife's pregnant. Siblings want me to tell my mom so they don't have to deal with it. I just want to continue with being NC, but I'm being treated like an so AITAH. I 31 mem have been no contact with mom for 9 years now. I'm also a terrible writer, so if this isn't structured well, or there's a few grammatical errors, I apologize in advance. I have 2 siblings, a sister 2 years younger, and a brother 7 years younger. I'm not sure where I should start on my reasons for going no contact. As a child, I remember a lot of screaming in my face. When I was 11, I remember being slapped across the face a few times while being told, if you look back one day and think to yourself that you had a tough childhood, well, you brought it on yourself. I can't remember exactly what I did to deserve that. I did argue with my sister a lot, but I genuinely don't think I was a bad kid. When I was growing up over the years, my mom would start bringing home boyfriends. Me and my sister would constantly get screamed at for not being nice enough to them, not welcoming enough, etc. One of these boyfriends she had was an alcoholic that would get drunk and angry fairly frequently. They were together from when I was 15 to when I was 17. He bought a caravan and we always had to go on these holidays with them, where every time without fail, he'd become an angry drunk again and we'd have to go out for the day or night and wait it out. The next time one of these holidays was being planned, I said I did not want to go. I got a lecture about how we're a family and we have to do these things and stick together. He got drunk again and it was a miserable holiday. One day came where we were in an argument and my mum said something along the lines of, "Why are you like this?" And my response was the first thing that came to my mind, which was, "Because I don't like you." So I got kicked out and sent to live at my dad's house at 17. Come to think of it, this was the second time I was kicked out. I can't remember why, but I was also sent to live with my dad at 15. I don't know what it was, but I was always uncomfortable living there with his girlfriend as well. One time when I was staying at my dad's at around 15 or 16, my mom went out and left her boyfriend home with my younger brother. She started getting angry messages from the boyfriend. He was obviously drunk again. She messaged my dad to come get my younger brother and told him the situation. My dad drove there but sat in the car while I got my brother to pack a bag. While I'm standing in my brother's doorway, the boyfriend comes up to me and starts yelling at me about how I've picked sides, and not to come back while trying to size me up and act like he was ready to hit me. I don't remember what I said back, but it was something like a neutral, okay. Once my brother was packed, I ushered him out and we left. When I was roughly 22, my mom decided to bring her new boyfriend around a lot. He was 27, not that much older than myself and my sister. Whenever he was over, she would stand in the lounge room in front of the heater and be all over him in front of us. Then they'd go to her room. The whole situation was quite gross to me. I had a girlfriend, my sister had a boyfriend, we both had cars and could leave whenever we wanted and get away. My brother couldn't do that, and I felt bad. I asked him one day if he feels uncomfortable, and he told me yes. I told my mom how we felt and said it wasn't fair on him. The next day, she was screaming in my face that she asked my brother, and he said he's fine with it. So I'm lying or some bullshit. During this time, I had been working as an apprentice. At the time, I'd been with one boss for 4 months. He never learnt my name. He'd bring up previous mistakes I'd made, which weren't even me, they were. I assumed the apprentice he had before me. No matter how hard I tried to learn and work while operating all day on pure anxiety, it was never good enough, and he would belittle me and tell at me. Every day I was coming home either almost in or in tears. My mom saw how badly this was affecting me and said if I quit, she will help me out until I find a new job. About a month later, I'd almost started another job. She told me the new rental she was moving into had less bedrooms, so I could either find my own place or move to my dad's 4 hours away. A week or two or something after this, I got into a fight with my brother. He threw a DVD and it hit me directly in the face. I retaliated by trying to scare him by acting like I was going to hit him, but I didn't hurt him. I have since apologized to him for the way I retaliated. I still feel bad about it. My mom came out to this and kicked me out on the spot. I slept in my car that night. Since that night, I decided I was done and have been NC ever since. I've constantly had family and her friends try to message me and tell me to talk to her again. They've never asked how I'm doing, just that I should let her back into my life. I've never told anyone what or why I went NC. I think they think it was because of the last night of me getting kicked out. But I've never said anything. I don't want to get pulled back into the he said she said drama. But even still, I've been told by my brother that still lives with her that I'm twisting the story to not look bad. I've never told anyone a story. My wife and I are having a baby this year. The day after my siblings found out, they asked me if I was telling mom. I said no. I've been happier and drama-free since leaving, and every time I think back and bring up old memories, I get worked up and angry again. My sister has sent me a message telling me that her daughter is sick and in and out of hospital, and I should just tell mom, because it's one less thing for my sister to deal with. In the moment I got heated that she's trying to use her daughter as leverage, so I decided not to respond as no good can come from it. Then my sister messaged my wife, saying that myself and my mom both stuffed up big time and I should just tell her. I don't see how cutting someone from my life that made me miserable is stuffing up big time. I suspect they want me to tell her because they're dreading the unstable reaction. I just feel like this should be a happy time between my wife and I, but the family drama has to come to spoil it for us and made it stressful. I have a lot of conflicting thoughts. I can't see any way this will go well, but my wife and I don't want to ruin a relationship with my nieces. So AITAH for not telling my mum that my wife's pregnant. Am I the asshole? AITAH for refusing to adopt my nephew. My sister currently has me blocked. She started venting about how hard it is raising my autistic nephew. I just moved abroad, and as the time got closer to me leaving, she was more and more interested in moving abroad too. However, she concluded that it would be difficult to do anything anytime soon, BC of my nephew's needs. He is a great kid. As he is getting older 11 he is more aware that she hasn't been the best mother. My mom, brother and I basically supply all of his needs. Clothing, trips, haircuts, books, hygiene, outings, etc. I've kept him for a semester before while she focused on her mental health and gotten him in the summer, so has my mom. She doesn't interact. Every time I offer to pay for sports swimming lessons, she says she'll be too tired even if it's once a week. She started asking me if I would get my nephew permanently BC. She just wants to be free. She hates being a mom, she's so tired, etc. When I told her no, she said she was going to start looking at facilities for him. She asked my mom a month back and my mom told her no as well. My sister blocked my mom after that, but not before cursing her out, only to unblock and ask for money and a new car. My mom told her she will buy her a car once she gets a job. I was already planning to keep him for 2 months this summer. I have to come back to US during his spring break too and told her I'd get him. I wasn't planning on getting him then, but once she started complaining, venting more, I figured he'd probably want to get away from her. She has never had a job outside of stripping, and it didn't work out well for her BC of her introverted personality. She's been trying to make camgirl work, but it's been 2 years, and it's not working. Yesterday, she said she needed a plan, and I suggested a job. Making 20-25 hour, finish school she's enrolled, 1 year left, finish her master's, then start working in her field. She said she can make so much more money doing what she's doing if she didn't have my nephew, and a regular job would make her so miserable. She wants the most time away from him as possible. I told her she's already miserable. At least she could make ends meet, save a little something, and have a real job on her resume before getting into her career field. She got mad and said I wasn't listening, seeing or hearing her. She took a few jabs at me and then blocked me. What I see is her trying to push her responsibility off on someone else and not take accountability for her life. Family can only do so much. She won't move home where majority of family is, and she'd have more help. The only person in her city is my 23-year brother who works 80 hours a week, but still hangs out to my nephew when he can. Am I the asshole? AITAH for being mad at my husband for saying he would pick his deceased wife over me. My 34F husband, 37M, was married once before me. She was his high school sweetheart. They started dating their junior year, survived long distance during college, and got married when they were both 23 very shortly after graduating college. She passed away unexpectedly at age 26 from an aneurysm, and it obviously devastated him, especially because they were extremely young. They never had children. He contemplated remarrying because he was so heartbroken, but we ended up meeting about 4 years after that. We got married when I was 31, and he was 34 and have 2 children. Last night, we were at a friend potluck gathering. Everything was going well until one of our friends brought up a new topic that had to do with relationships. She is newly divorced, so it was about her divorce. Others were chiming in with past relationships from high school, college, etc. I had said I never thought I would get married because my luck with men has always been terrible until I met my husband. And I said I felt very lucky to have met him. After a little while longer, my husband brings up his deceased wife. Everyone knows he was married before me and that she passed. He was talking about her and then drops a bomb and goes, "If she walked through that front door right now, I'd pick up where we left off." If I am being honest, it felt like someone put my heart into a blender and punched me in the gut as hard as they could. Everyone in the room could sense the awkwardness that followed. To avoid making a scene, I just laughed it off, even though I think it was still obvious that it hurt me. I just felt that if you still felt that way, then why are we married? I've never asked him to get over his wife. I have never had a deceased spouse or even a deceased partner, so I am unsure how that feels. But I would never say that in front of my new spouse. After the gathering, we left and I did not speak to him the entire car ride home, or barely the entire night. I did tell him that what he said hurt my feelings deeply, and that we could talk in the morning once I've calmed down, because I didn't want to say something mean to him. I ended up sleeping on the couch because he would not leave me alone. It's now the next morning and I barely slept. He is still sleeping. I'm not really sure what to say or what he will say. Update. This may be a long one. I also tried to reply to as many comments as I could, but they were flooding in and I got a bit overwhelmed. May still try to read and reply to them. Many brought me to joyous and grateful tears. 3. Also, alcohol was not involved in the sense that he wasn't drunk. My husband is 6'3" and almost 250 lbs. He had eaten quite a bit and had one beer. He was practically sober. Anyway, we talked. I asked him to let me go first and to not interrupt. He doesn't usually interrupt anyway. This isn't verbatim. Just a rough sketch of how things went. I also included points some of you made. Without mentioning, I posted about this, of course. I just want to say that I do not hate you for what you said. I understand where you were coming from. She died and it was something neither of you saw coming. I could never ask you to get over her or to forget her because I know how much you loved her. She was your first love. I do understand that if she hadn't passed, we likely would not be together, and you two likely would be. I have always understood this. But to say what you said hurt my feelings and embarrassed me. And even though her coming back from the dead is impossible, if it were, you would leave me and the children. It was probably one of the worst things anyone has ever said to me. It is clear your feelings about her are still raw and it still hurts. And I want you to get counseling, and I want couples counseling very, very soon. He then apologized profusely, teared up and said how he did not mean to hurt me and embarrass me in front of our friends. He basically said that he thought about it before he went to sleep and came to the realization that he should have kept it to himself. I can't be angry for what he thinks. He loved her and she died. His feelings are also valid here. Also said that he would never leave me and the children, and that what he said was just a poorly thought out and poorly worded statement, that he was not thinking clearly, and when he said it, he immediately felt that maybe it came out wrong. I asked him how he would feel if I said that to him. He says, "Yeah, it's bad. I know. I shouldn't have said it. I wouldn't be happy. I know you aren't happy. I should have apologized in front of everyone as soon as I said it, or not have said it at all." I then asked him to think of the children and said it's like you saying, "Hey, children's names, if my dead wife walked through the door, I'd pack my bags and never speak to you guys again." And then it really got uncomfy. After some silence, I had no idea what to say. After that, he asked me if I wanted to divorce. So I asked him why he would think I would want a divorce, just to see what he would say. He says he doesn't know. I didn't answer his question and said we needed to look into counseling, that he needed to get counseling for himself, and that we would go to couples counseling. And if the answer is no, I am not interested in moving forward. This isn't 100% about the comment anymore. I need to know if he is willing to make the necessary changes and put in the work to fix what he messed up. Because if he were to dismiss my feelings or not want counseling, it means he doesn't think this was that serious and that he may not take me seriously. I also said this to him. Some of the comments also told me to take the kids elsewhere. I agreed with this because it would be difficult to get through this while also parenting. I've got a very young daughter and a son that is a toddler. They are currently with my parents for the weekend and I'll be getting them Sunday night, so this gives us time to really work. He suggested he sleep on the couch instead of me. I have nowhere else to go. I haven't told my parents because I really would like to keep this between me and him as much as possible. Family and friends jump to judge too fast and sometimes offer extreme and harmful advice, and it's also embarrassing. Luckily, we both have very good insurance that will help with counseling. I told him that it seems like whatever counseling he got after her death was not enough and that he was not consistent with it, like he should have been. With trauma like that, I personally would have been in counseling for years before I even considered remarrying. He agreed. He was only in it for about a year and then stopped once he moved away from his hometown. Never got back into it. He also agreed to the individual and couples counseling. Kept apologizing. Kept telling me he loved me all day. It was also so difficult to be around him because he kept looking at me. I couldn't think. It was like he would try to say something and then he would just stare and not say anything. With the kids gone, there's nothing to really do except talk. So we talked again right before dinner time. He asked me if I wanted him to cook or buy something. I still was not hungry, to be honest. So I just told him he could pick something up for himself and that I wasn't hungry, and that prompted the second discussion. Realized he must feel very bad because he noticed I hadn't really eaten much all day. Kept asking me to eat. I wasn't sulking too bad or anything. Just doing my usual tasks, but not speaking or eating as much, and because we're home together all day, he noticed this. Asked me one more time to please eat dinner with him, so I agreed. During dinner, he told me that he looked for counselors himself and wanted me to see if I thought they were okay enough, and that he would keep looking. Last stretch. After all of that, I told him that we can't really predict anything until we've met with therapists. I don't want him to keep saying sorry. I want work and change. And then maybe we can move forward, but this is the first step. I don't want to just leave him. I am also not saying divorce is off of the table. I think he is still hurting from her death, and his judgment is very, very clouded. If he didn't love me, I doubt he would have apologized so many times and looked for counselors on his own. A man that doesn't love me probably would have made me look or rejected going altogether. Many people were suggesting this. I do not think he doesn't love me. Thought of this myself. Cried about it. Thought of my children. Cried more. I'm not staying for the kids. I'm staying because I want to at least try to fix. If it cannot be fixed, then at least I tried. We were also very close. Some people were asking how close we were prior to marriage, I guess, as a way to gauge the difference between their relationship and our relationship. Maybe to see if he settled. He was always very romantic, caring, and sweet to me. We've never yelled at each other. When we first started dating, he would plan dates, surprise me, brag about me to his friends. So that's why I am very confused on why he would blurt that. Unless it was just very poor brain and mouth coordination. I also told him that I may get a counselor for myself. I don't think I need one. Someone suggested this. But I think he needs it more than I do. And because insurance companies are getting shittier by the year, 3 counseling bills may be pushing it. IDK. If I do get one, it's because I don't want to potentially resent him or doubt myself. Some people were making attempts to make me doubt myself. Some people in the comments were very nasty to me. I appreciate Reddit hiding comments with many downvotes as they may be mean, but I couldn't help but click. Some of you are very mean and very nasty individuals, and I hope you find happiness one day. There could be another update in the future. Not opposed to making one. Thank you all for your kind words and support. I've also responded to everyone that texted me, which was everyone there at the potluck that has my number. 3 people there were 9 people there, not including us. They've all basically said the same thing. They can't believe he said that. They feel bad for me, asking if everything is okay, what he said was not okay, etc. He showed me some of the texts with him and his friends, and some made me cry with how kind they were being towards me. Basically telling him he wasn't necessarily wrong for thinking that, but wrong for saying it. I told him I loved him as well. And I have never not loved him even for a second. And that I wasn't angry with him and didn't want him to, I guess, suffer for what he said. But I was just hurt and needed him to know that it did hurt me and him to respond how he saw fit, and we'd go from there. That is all for now. I could possibly answer more questions here, if you have any. I tried to answer some of the more frequently asked ones that I saw. Again, sorry for this being so lengthy. Have a nice weekend, everyone, and thank you again.